Welcome to the Aligned and Magnetic Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Ashley, intuitive business coach certified by the International Coaching Federation, and they call me the money mindset and manifestation queen. I take a spiritual and practical approach that's backed by neuroscience to help you make your vision a reality, but more importantly, doing it in a way that lights you the fuck up. If you're ready to create an aligned, magnetic, and profitable business so you can live a life and do the work you are absolutely in love with, you're in the right place. Get ready to hear the powerful questions and raw lessons that you need to create success your way. Thank you so much for being here. Let's dive in. Hi, loves. Welcome back to another episode of the Aligned and Magnetic Podcast. I'm trying out this little Bluetooth microphone that I got off of Amazon. So I'm really hoping that the audio is okay. Sometimes it sounds a little bit too loud, so I'm trying to use my quiet voice. And we'll see how this turns out. Hopefully it's not a complete crapshoot. So I wanted to create an episode that extends the conversation from last week. So our conversation from last week was all about why you shouldn't take advice and how people's subconscious minds and perceptions and experience actually shape their advice, and how that could be more limiting to you than following your own advice. But there is a really big thing that I need to address with you, and that is that there are things that are going to prevent you from taking your own advice. So I want to talk to you about that today and what it really takes to really listen to your intuition. Intuition is a really big pillar in my business. It's something that has been an absolute game changer for me. And if you want to dive deeper into connecting with your intuition, I highly recommend that you get started inside of the Own Your Intuition mini workshop. Make sure you get the workbook because that has a bunch of questions that are really going to help you to connect with you, your vision, and your intuition. And it's going to put everything that we're talking about here into practice and actually help you to flex your intuitive muscle. Now, intuition is such a big part of my framework. We use intuition throughout. So my framework is aligned, magnetic, and profitable. And we use intuition to pretty much guide everything that we do in business. Is there room for traditional marketing and, proven strategies? Absolutely. But my clients really struggle. They're rebellious. They struggle with following those rules, and they actually feel really boxed in by those rules and strategies. And so my job is to really help you to take the rules and strategies that you've learned and get past the resistance of what you are telling yourself you should do and into intuitive action. Because what commonly happens is a lot of us, myself included, this is why I help people like you and I, we get so stuck in the analysis paralysis of oh, we should do this, we should do that. And we spend more time in our heads than in the taking action of the things that we're supposed to be doing or that we want to be doing. The longer that we stay in our heads, the longer that we plan and try to execute these perfect strategies, the further we actually are from making our vision a reality. Now, I don't want to say this and have you thinking that any actions, strategic actions that you're taking, are preventing you from making your dreams a reality. That's not true. What I'm saying is that these boxed in strategies are dimming your light. And the way that we access your light and the way that we put your vision out there into the world is largely dependent on your connection to your intuition and your self-trust as the leader of your business. So, what gets in the way of listening to our intuition? Well, the first thing, which you may have gathered from last week's episode, is that we have been trained essentially to not trust in our intuition. We've been trained to make logical decisions, to weigh pros and cons. And while weighing the pros and cons can be a great thing, it's not necessarily the right move for everyone. So, if you are new to my world, you may or may not know that I use human design in my business as a really big tool to help my clients to connect with who they are and to build a business their way, and dance to the beat of their own drum to create the version of success that they desire. And in human design, there are a number of different inner authorities. Our inner authority is essentially how our intuition speaks to us. It's how our body knows when an opportunity is aligned to us or not aligned to us. Now, I want you to know something about alignment. Just because something is aligned doesn't mean that it's going to be like the top secret, like the game changer. I think a lot of people get stuck in over analyzing, again, because we're overthinkers. We overanalyze our human design and we can overanalyze like our energy and all of that stuff. The purpose for me with human design is to really help you to see how you're different and to help you to start making more aligned decisions by following your body. It's not meant to be a tool that you just box yourself in with. I remember seeing someone's post on Threads the other day, like, oh, I'm going to use human design for my undefined ajna and my undefined head brain crown center, and use my defined throat for this and my gate of this. And it's like, no, that's like completely missing the point of using human design and stepping into your alignment. And so basically, what I want you to know is that there are so many different tools out there. And my intention is not to get you boxed into a tool and feel restricted. My role here in business development and with leaders that I work with and entrepreneurs is to open you up to possibility, open you up to opportunity, open you up to shining your light the way that you came here to shine it. Okay. And I was having a conversation with my friend Carolina the other day, and we were talking about how like we have both worked with business coaches who are very strategy oriented. And ultimately, we ended up like focusing our niche in an area that like wasn't even what we were originally doing. It was like, for her, it was like all of a sudden she became a career coach and she never wanted to be a career coach. For me, all of a sudden, I was helping people with binge eating, even though that was never the intention that I started my business with when I became a health coach, you know? So these are the things that, like, if you walk away from anything in this episode, I want you to walk away with the confidence to believe in yourself and to trust in yourself. Now, let's start with the things that hold us back, okay? The first thing is that you are seeing somebody else as the expert and not trusting in yourself as the expert, okay? Now, there's nothing wrong with getting an expert opinion. There's nothing wrong with hiring people to support you. There's nothing wrong with getting help in your business and honing your skills and fine-tuning what you're doing, okay? Nothing wrong with it. In fact, I highly recommend it. But where we can go wrong with this is not believing in ourselves enough and not trusting in the divine wisdom within ourselves to help guide that process. The role of a coach and client is to partner. It's not for a coach to provide expert advice. That's consulting. And even in a consulting relationship, I've seen this so many freaking times where the client gives away their power and they don't ask the right questions because they believe that the person providing the service has all the answers and they believe that they're going to be the ones who are right, right? And this is where, like, if you haven't listened to last week's episode 10 of season 2, I highly recommend you go and listen to that, because actually, I find that the more and more we get like become an expert in our industry, the more narrow our thinking becomes and the harder it is to actually guide other people. And because we become so locked into like one strategy, one method, one thing that works. And I need you to know something, and it's that not every single strategy out there is meant for you, and not every single strategy that is out there is going to work for you. And so, again, my role as a business development coach is to partner with my clients and find the strategies that are going to work specifically for them. Okay. So, with all of that said, the coming back to that first thing that really holds you back is outsourcing your power to the expert, okay? And so how can we create space at the table for the expert, but also for you? And a really big part of that is giving yourself the space to reflect. So many people live these busy, chaotic lives. They're jumping from one thing to the next, trying to get everything in. I've got my hand up here, like I'm just as guilty as overloading my schedule. However, what I know to be true for me and what I really try to instill is spaciousness in my morning to reflect on how things are going, spaciousness in my afternoon to again reflect, to sit in my own energy, to um, really listen to my own internal cues. I hope that whoever's sawing something outside, I hope that wasn't too loud. Let me close this window here. We have these people who live like right across the street from my dad's place. They're building out like a van or something because they travel the world in their van, camper van. Pretty cool. Probably not the life that I want to live. I like to take a shower and all of that stuff. Okay. So outsourcing your power. Now, how do we create the space? First of all, creating the space in your day. Second of all, listening to your body's cues. Before I did body work, before I really started to pay attention to my body's signals, I feel like I wasn't even aware of my intuition. I felt like I didn't really even have bodily signals that were guiding me. And so, again, this is a really big part of what I do with my clients. I help them to connect with those bodily signals. What does your gut say? What are you feeling right now? And again, it's going to be really different for each client depending on their inner authority, which, if you need help connecting with your body and your inner authority, I can do a human design reading for you. Just DM me on Instagram and I'd be happy to do that for you. And yeah, so creating the space to reflect and the space to connect with your body. Now, if we don't create the space to connect with ourselves, then time just flies by. Time flies by, we add more shit to our plate, and what ends up happening is we end up living in our heads and we end up just flying from one thing to the next without really slowing down to pay attention to the signals that your emotions are giving you, that your body is giving you, that the universe is giving you, right? And oftentimes it's so interesting because I see people living these lives that are really, really chaotic. And then all this crazy shit happens. And they're like, I don't know why this crazy stuff is happening, but I'm telling you, it's always for a reason. And typically, not typically, our external reality is just responding to our internal state, right? Does shit sometimes happen? Yes. Is the world unfair? Sometimes, yes. But generally speaking, your external world is a reflection of what's going on within you. And you always have the opportunity to change the way that you respond to a situation. Okay, before going down another tangent, the next thing that holds you back from really paying attention to your intuition and following the path that is right for you is bypassing your desires. So, this is something that I work on with my clients again, because a lot of the time we have these really big desires. We have these dreams that we don't tell anybody about, okay? I again, I'm putting my hand up because I was sitting at my corporate job. Like, I hadn't told anybody about the dreams that I had of living a laptop lifestyle by the beach, traveling the world, and having a really big impact. That is the life that I have today. I'm so freaking grateful that I get to do this work. Like, I was just reflecting today on how I remember baby Lauren coach before I even got certified. I was struggling to get even like one client. And now every single day I get to connect with people who my clients and like community members, but every day I get to connect with these really incredible people who are here to have an impact in some way, shape, or form, and who really want to give back to the world. And they are such good people. And I'm just so blessed to be able to help them in the way that I get to do that. It's such a blessing. And also, I had to start owning my desires. I had to start taking that vision for my life fucking seriously. And I had to let go of all of the actually, I would say external noise, internal noise, and external noise. Let me parse that apart in just a second. All of the voices that were telling me, like, that's not possible. Who do you think you are? Like, is that even a viable business, Lauren? Maybe you should just stick to your real job. Your corporate job pays you pretty good. Are you sure you want to quit? And all of those voices, I had to let go of those voices. They were not my own. My own voice, my true voice, was the voice that was leading me in the direction of create a business, travel the world, impact people's lives. Okay. Now, the internal voices were a product of the external voices. So the internal voices sounded like self doubt, like, are you really cut out for that? Should you really leave your job? Right. And they were validating the external noise of society, the external noise of other people's doubts and other people's projections onto me. And people will always project onto you their own limiting beliefs, their own doubts within themselves. And this is where it can be really tricky before actually doing this work on really listening into what you believe to be true, what your soul is calling you to do, and what like you believe to be possible for yourself. If you have any sort of internal drive or motivation or wisdom that is guiding you in the direction of your vision, of creating your dream life, of having an impact, of launching a podcast, of whatever, that is your soul, that is your higher self guiding you to your purpose in this life. That's my belief anyway. But all of those stories, the self criticism, and actually, let me back up, because I believe that we were born to be the highest version of ourselves, the best version of ourselves. But we learn to be self critical to protect ourselves from failure. We learn to self doubt to prevent us from making an ass out of ourselves in front of people that we care about, right? We learn how to talk negatively to ourselves and limit ourselves based on the feedback that we've received from others, based on other people making fun of you, on other people's, again, self doubts, on maybe other people's failures and how you've judged them in the past, right? And so this is, again, something that needs to be worked on in order to be able to follow your intuition and create your own path to success, okay? I need you to know that we can manifest literally anything that we want. And the biggest obstacle to your success is your limiting beliefs, is believing that you can't do it, that you are just so and so from so and so town, is the fear of failure, like all of these different stories. And the other thing that I want to point out here is that it's sometimes, actually, in my experience, I'm just going to speak from my own experience. It's really hard to understand or know what our mind is telling us when we're constantly just in take action mode, when we're just like looking at the things that we have to do and getting them done and moving from one thing to the next. You might not actually have a story or a script running through your mind saying like, oh, you're stupid, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. And that's why we need to create the space in our day to actually sit with, okay, this is what I committed to, but I'm not following through. What's going on? Am I out of alignment? Meaning, is this strategy just like restricting me? Is this just dimming my light? Is this just not the way I'm meant to function? Or is there some sort of resistance and limiting belief that my ego is trying to protect me from? Like, what do I believe to be true about completing this action or going for this vision, right? Your brain is always going to try to protect you from failure. Your brain is there to keep you surviving. It has not evolved to kind of like this day and age, like whenever anything like putting yourself out there, for example, on the internet, sharing your story. I've had so many people reach out and be like, oh my God, I'm so inspired by you. I love that you share your story. And also, like, it took me 3 years to share that because I was so wrapped up in ego and like, what are people going to think of me? What if people see me as a failure? What if this? What if that? Part of that was my own self doubt, but it was also validating external noise that I had heard from. If you listen to season 2, you'll know there was somebody close to me that was kind of not in agreement with what I was doing. And so that created a ton of internal chaos, internal self doubt, and it really prevented me from showing up. Now, after having voiced that, I feel so good. I feel so back on top of my game. I feel like I'm figuring shit out. And like, anyway, it feels really great. And our brains are meant to protect us. So, had I not done all of this work on myself, on really trusting in who I am, and on not allowing um, my ego to drive and my fear to drive, I probably would have come up with the best podcast plan, never would have launched it. Okay. Me, and the reason I say this is because me, prior to getting coaching or to being coached, hiring a coach, getting coaching, what the heck? Me, prior to hiring a coach and then learning coaching for myself, studying the brain, studying the conscious and subconscious mind, studying more about psychology and our limitations, resistance, limiting beliefs, all of that stuff. Me, prior to all of this work, I had created a bunch of stuff like videos and all of this stuff, never did anything with it. Okay. I didn't necessarily have a script running in my head saying, like, oh, you suck. Like, you're never going to make anything of yourself. People are going to judge you, blah, 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 blah. No, I made it through recording videos. I made it through creating the plan. I made it to the final stages where everything was ready to go. And I still did not like put it out there. Okay. So, if you're resonating with this message, I'm going to say that there's probably deeper work for you to do. I have created the Own Your Intuition mini workshop to give you a sampling of what it's like to do this deeper intuitive work, the deeper dive on your fears, your limitations, your intuition, your higher self, what you're being called to do. And I have a mini course called Intuitive Boss Babe, which is currently actually called the Own Your Intuition Full Workshop. The name is changing to Intuitive Boss Babe mini course. It is over 13 hours of trainings. There are deep questions. There's a workbook that will take you through everything that you need to essentially reflect on to really connect with your intuition, overcome your own resistance, and gain confidence to put yourself out there in your own way, whether you're a business owner or whether you are just somebody who's listening and is inspired by my story and you have some sort of idea of how you want to impact the world and share your journey with the world. Okay. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to take this course. But if you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, then it would be perfect for you. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Make sure you go and step your foot into the Intuitive Boss Babe mini course. And if nothing else, then definitely get the Own Your Intuition mini workshop. You're going to find meditations and over 60 minutes of training, journal prompts, all of that good stuff to help you really connect with who you are and what you're meant to do in this world. Okay. I really would love to help you on your journey to getting your message out there in a really big way. Um, One of the things that pains me the most is seeing really brilliant human beings with brilliant, amazing talents hold themselves back because of their perfectionism, because of their mindset, because they don't believe in themselves yet. And so, this is exactly why I've created this work. It's for people like you. So go pick whatever course you feel like starting with. I'll see you inside. And I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. And we will see you in next week's episode. Bye, love. Hey, love. Thanks for tuning into today's episode. I hope you got the message that you needed today. Make sure to check out any links that I talked about, any programs or anything that I talked about is going to be linked in the show notes. Rise Goddess, let me tell you about this. Rise Goddess is launching very, very soon, and this program only comes around once every 2 years. It's such a potent program. It will change your freaking life. Everybody that goes through this program tells me like, Lauren, you should launch it again. You should launch it again. You should launch it again. It changed my life. So if you are ready to step into your power, connect with your intuition, and really leverage that connection to see success in your life that is authentic to you and your desires, while also squashing any limiting beliefs that are getting in your way, see the link below, because doors will be opening soon and they're only going to be open for about 2 weeks. So you're either going to want to get on the wait list or you're going to want to sign up right away if doors are open. All right. We will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for being here.